And we continue our conversation with State Senator Dave Hansen. There have been 4 governors since you took office. We had Scott McCallum, who took over.
It started with Tommy Thompson.
Tommy Thompson.
And he wasn't there very long. Then he went with Department of Health Services.
He went to the Department of Health for George W. Bush's administration. Then Jim Doyle, Scott Walker, of course, now Tony Evers. You got Republicans and Democrats. Was there much of a difference? I obviously think there was a big difference dealing with these 2 different types of administrations.
Well, I think Tommy Thompson and Scott McCallum were very pro-Wisconsin, the university and all that. They were cheerleaders. Yeah. And it was, and I think Tommy and Scott accepted the fact that labor had a role, and we had a system in place where public employees were trusted and treated fairly. And I think it was a good thing, and that was continued by Governor Doyle. But under Governor Walker, the only thing I ever agreed with him with is when we were going to be in the Super Bowl back in 2011, I asked him if we could color the dome green and gold with filters. And he agreed, and he was really excited about it. And then we won the Super Bowl, but I knew something was up on the Monday after. It was back to white. The green and gold was gone. And then later that week, he said he dropped the bomb on public employees. And that was when I spent 22 days in Illinois, but we disagree with his philosophy. The teachers were disrespected in my way of thinking, and they had done nothing wrong. They were part of a system that had worked really, really well for them. And, you know, they had good benefits and pay. And I would argue that if they had it so good, then maybe everybody else should have had it as good as they did. And they're hardworking people. And I think we're seeing the problem with that today. The number of people going into education is going way down. They can't get substitute teachers. So that lack of respect for public employees. And we knew at the time, once that happened, that the private sector unions would suffer too. And I was a Teamster for 20 years. Full information. I was a union steward for 17 or 18 years. And we fought to have decent negotiations and fair treatment of our workers. And I say that's probably the toughest thing that I've seen, because it just didn't have to happen. There was a system in place that was working well, and it was, at that time, brother against brother and family against family, and like even a bowling team not getting along, neighbor not getting along. And it's kind of sad. And hopefully when we had to change, with Tony Evers getting elected, we get back to working together again, and yet they pulled that lame duck out. So it was easier to work with the Tommies and Scott McCallums of the world and Doyles and Tonys, but it was difficult with Scott Walker, except for the coloring the dome green and gold, which was pretty cool. Great picture. Still got pictures of that one. Very proud of that. And then we had the opportunity, after we went through the recall, to be in D.C. The NFL was on strike at the time until August, so we got invited by President Obama, and we and 2 other people that had won in the recall, we got to go to D.C., and I got to go with my brother who had been there before. And what a great experience. And I still remember one really cute story. Charles Woodson, they gave a share of stock to Barack Obama.
To the president, yes.
And the president goes, well, I'm an owner. I'm going to trade Rodgers to the Bears. And Charles Woodson got up, and I saw him later on. He said, how'd you come up with that? He said, you are a minority owner only, Mr. President. So don't think you can do that. But I mean, he had a smile on his face. It was cool.
Sure.
So it was a great experience to be at D.C. and that was my only trip to Washington D.C. in my career. So it's been fun. It was fun.
Good story. You mentioned earlier the trip that you and your other fellow senators took out of state. What were you thinking then? What was the point you were trying to make? Why did you do that?
Well, I really think that our attempt was to let people know, because it was happening so fast. He dropped the bomb. They're going to put this in a repair budget bill that didn't need to be repaired. He was using a system, I thought, it was just so easy to take on the public employee, because basically we're on the public dole. They're paying taxes, and so for him to criticize and to take us on, we just wanted people to know what was going on. So I was out of state for 22 days, and I still hear about it at parades, go back to Illinois. I have not been back to Illinois since. Haven't left Wisconsin except to go up to Menominee maybe once or twice, but I love Wisconsin. I love Green Bay. We did what we thought was right, and it didn't hurt Governor Walker. He got to serve until he lost to Tony Evers. And I just hope for better things with the change of governor as far as treating our employees better, because we're talking corrections officers, we're talking people that are troopers, and all these other folks that are public employees, and all the private sector union workers that deserve to be treated fairly, and that's what we fought for. And you know, I'll live with that forever. And I think we're in the history books. I came back to 150,000 people in Madison, and it was like they just wanted to touch you, this old guy, and it's like, whoa. So, right or wrong, we did it. We live with it, and hopefully, moving forward, we can find a way to work together better.
Act 10 led to the recall election. You included.
Oh, yeah, first one.
Scott Walker, of course,
Yep.
was the subject of the recall
I
election.
think I won with
He won.
68%.
You
That was
won.
the first one.
How tough was that for you and your family to go through?
Well, the interesting thing when we were gone, they were showing up at our house to see if we were there. Yet they threatened to arrest us and all that. So, but you know, it didn't happen. It was my wife struggled with that a little bit, but 22 days, and she tried to make a trip to Illinois a couple of times so we could be together.
But did the recall election bother you and your family at all?
All that press, but I mean, it was we won that so handily. We were the first ones. So the majority leader said, "Well, I started this whole recall thing." Well, actually, they did. And they went after me, and they found enough signatures to put it on the ballot, but we were able to survive that. But it was a challenging experience, but you know, we lived with it, and we moved on, and we came back, and you know, it is what it is.
Such divisiveness now in Washington, and
Sure.
we're seeing it now in Madison as well. Did any of that divisiveness play a part in your decision to retire?
Absolutely not.
No?
No, I felt when you've won so many elections, 2000, 2004, 8, special election 11, 12, 16, I mean, I'm convinced we could have won again. In fact, one of the lobbyists for the Republicans was on a talk show, and he said I was a good senator, a good state senator, and probably would have won again. But that didn't play a part in it. I know people wanted me to run, but then it's going to run forever. I mean, it is what it is, and you know, it's been great, but there's some unfinished business. Obviously, we get this PFAS problem in Marinette and Peshtigo, and actually all over the state.
Right.
This forever compound that is creating all kinds of difficulty with people's drinking water. They may be drinking poison water, and we're trying to get this fixed. It's in the air, it's in the groundwater, surface water, tap water, probably in the bay. And then they took the sludge from Marinette, wastewater treatment, and spread on a farm field in Porterfield. So we've been trying to do a comprehensive bill, looking at a bipartisan way with Representative Nygren, because that's his area and it's my area. We want to get that done, and we want to get it done before I'm done. They're saying, well, maybe a session away or a session away. I'm not going to be there. I want it done now. We're still working on a compromise to get it done and make it better.
All right, we continue with Senator Dave Hansen right after this, so please stay with us.